Ladies and gentlemen, you are most welcome in the fifth workshop of the ICW International Coaching Week in ICF Chapter Kuwait Chapter. Today, we have an amazing coach with amazing and wonderful smiling. She has an amazing smile and she is a positive person. Recently, she has the PCC certified, the professional coaching certified, and she is English leadership and mindset coach. You are most welcome, Coach Oraib Al-Fozan.
Thank you.
And floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. As the amazing Coach Rana just said, I'm Coach Oraib Al-Fozan. And the topic for today's workshop is something that I'm very passionate about, and it's mostly about presence and awareness. الوعي أو الحضور تقريبا, basically, like your presence in terms of a coach being a coach, when you're attending your session, how you handle things with your clients. These all things make an impact. So before we get into it, let's have a little bit of a warm-up. Can anyone tell me what's the most important element in terms of presence and awareness in coaching? شنو يهمنا يعني من ناحية الوعي وحضور و being present in your coaching sessions كcoach? Who would like to share their thoughts? أي أحد؟
فيكن إنكم تشاركوا سواء in Arabic or in English. There is no problem. Okay.
If you'd like to give your answer in English, you're more than welcome. In Arabic, you're also more than welcome.
Or writing in the chat.
Yes.
It's one of the competencies, being present. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, it is definitely one of the competencies, being present. And part of this, really, if we think about all of the 8 competencies in coaching, the core competencies, we at first, as training coaches or coaches in training, really, لما نطالع competencies, when we start looking at them, we feel stressed because we're thinking, well, this is a lot to learn and memorize and understand. But when you look deeper into each core competency, you start to realize that this truly just sets the tone for how you should be as a coach in your session, from one competency to the last one. And there are 2 competencies that is mentioned here with presence and awareness, and we'll get into that. So the first one I want to talk about is core competency number 5, which is presence, maintaining presence. So when we're thinking about how to maintain presence, when we think about presence entirely, it's more than just being there. It's more than just, I'm here, you can see me through the screen, whether it's online or an in-person session. Because if you think about it, you can sit with another person and not be there. You can sit with another person and be distracted. You could sit with people and, not be listening to what is being said. So this is lack of presence. So to actually be present, let's take a look at some of the things mentioned in the core competency. You remain focused, you are observant, empathetic, and responsive to the client. Now, when we say focused, it doesn't mean laser focus, where we expect the client to feel like they're being intensely managed or observed. It's more about giving yourself the space to listen, actively listening to your client. تسمعونهم بكل وعي. This is the most important aspect in terms of presence. And the reason for that is when you are there, when you are actively listening, you are giving the space and the safe environment for the client or coachee to actually share what is necessary so that we may help facilitate the session and their growth. So obviously the second part of maintaining presence, we would basically focus more on active listening. So demonstrating curiosity. How can we demonstrate curiosity as presence? Just if you feel like answering, you can just unmute yourselves, and please, by all means, I would love to have this be an interactive session. How can we demonstrate curiosity in a coaching session?
Perhaps,
Yes.
can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Curiosity, I think maybe by asking a couple of questions or observing maybe the body language. Or sometimes we say, if you allow me, I have this kind of curiosity to, you mentioned this, or you did something, or maybe the body language also can be part of the curiosity.
Absolutely, because you are being present, you are fully there in the session. Excellent. She brought up a very nice point as well in terms of how to ask, saying, if you will allow me, I am curious about something, which is also part of the core competencies. By asking questions, definitely, Myrna, but the kinds of questions matters as well. So for example, when we want to ask questions, we want to avoid open-ended questions. We want to avoid leading with our questions. We want to spark curiosity, not just in ourselves, but in our clients as well. So notice the rest of the terms. It's talking about managing your own emotions, your own thoughts, your judgments, maintaining confidence, and all of these things. But if you really think about it, you can do this by practicing active listening. This really helps with how to stay present in a coaching session. So in terms of active listening, the one key element we need to remember is actually being able to set aside yourself during a coaching session, meaning it is no longer about you, it is about your client, it is about our coachee, it's about their results, it is about their lives. So our judgments, our precomposed or preconceived thoughts, our biases have no role in the coaching session with us. So this allows us to maintain actual presence when we are able to set ourselves aside, truly listen, and engage with our clients. So this is a part about presence. So now with awareness, it's coaching core competency number 2, embodying a coaching mindset. And you'll notice from number 2 to 5 are the ones that I have in bold. These are the ones that really highlight the concept of awareness and why it's so important in our coaching sessions. You know, engaging in the learning and development in terms of us. Notice how it's engaging in ongoing learning and development as a coach. It's about our development. It's about our awareness in ourselves, our skills. How are we continuously learning to be better coaches, better people, the best versions of ourselves, really. And through self-awareness, we are then able to be more present and aware of our coachee and their progress and actually guide them through their own journey. The issue is that we think that once we've gotten the certification or we've completed a certain course or we have a license in something, we can just relax, take it easy and just go with what we know. But that kind of defeats the purpose of what coaching really is, because everything is ever changing. There's always something changing. There's always something developing. So engaging in continuous learning, being curious enough to always develop yourself further, or if you are specializing. So to any of the new coaches, for example, if you're still looking for a specialty or a niche, for example, truly putting your focus in learning more about that particular topic and specializing in this will give you the advantage, as well as truly help you connect with your clients. And we have the next part, which is developing an ongoing reflective practice to enhance one's coaching. So yes, learning and development, I'm all for it. The second part, it's a little deeper in terms of awareness. We need to reflect and be able to reflect on our coaching sessions, on our behaviors, on how we think, as human beings. And one of the best ways to do this is journaling. That's one of them. But how else can we reflect as coaches? What do you guys think? شو رايكم من ناحية reflecting إن نفكر إن شنو سوينا in our coaching sessions ومهامنا? How can we reflect effectively so that we can actually gain better results and momentum?
Can I?
Absolutely.
I will give you. I reflect sometimes. I record the sessions and I listen to what I said in the session in order to improve how many times I ask questions, or if I'm listening more, or I have to reduce the listening and the talking than listening. You got my point? Sometimes did I ask the right questions, whether I ask direct questions or open questions? This is very also important to be aware of.
Absolutely. I love that. We really do need to do that more, is having our sessions completely recorded, reviewing them, and to go even deeper, you know, having for example, the standards coaching outline in front of us as we're reviewing our recordings, for example, just to really dive into, okay, what's the best practice? How did I get my client to the goal? Did they reach the goal in the session, or did we venture off on a side note? So a lot of things like that happen. So next part is remaining aware and open to the influence of context and culture. Now, this is particularly complicated because guess what? We are in an era of social media. Everything is out there. Information is constantly developing and changing every single day. And there's this huge concept of instant gratification that is taking the world by storm now more than ever. And it's very easily like dismissed that these things influence our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions. So, for example, seeing what another coach does on social media or seeing what a group of people think about these things on social media could affect how we function or how we operate. So maintaining awareness is very important. Being able to question, why did I feel this way after seeing this? Why do I feel uncomfortable after seeing this post? Why did this trigger me? If something happened around you, or when you're in a coaching session, for example, why did something the client or coachee said made you feel a certain way? Why did it trigger you to feel a certain way? So maintaining awareness of such thoughts, emotions, judgments, biases helps you not fall into the trap of going down a path that might not serve you in the future. And this is often difficult with one-to-one coaching sessions. If you think about it, it's a very vulnerable place. So it has to be a safe environment. It's our responsibility to make it a safe environment. But in order to do that, we actually have to be willing to be vulnerable with ourselves, understand ourselves more, gain better self-awareness, and understanding what will help us continue on our path, our journey, and reach our goals. Okay? So, in terms of presence, what I want to guide you through today's workshop is the concept of mindset and habits. So before I go to the next slide, I would really love to hear from you in terms of how can mindset and habit affect our presence? What do you think? Feel free to type your answer or open your mic and go ahead.
I think for present, maybe when you are trying to get rid of all the negative or limited belief or thoughts, because sometimes you just need to focus. So to be in a present moment, maybe you need to be in a mood that there is without any distraction. Maybe, or maybe to practice and maybe kind of like practicing to focus more in the present moment.
Yeah. So when we say,
maybe,
yes, absolutely,
yeah,
listening, doing certain things that will help us, maybe being in an area where it has minimum to no distractions. But the biggest challenge would be trying to maintain presence even when there are slight distractions or certain things that will throw us off course. Easier said than done, but hopefully throughout this workshop, this will be something that will help you guide yourselves through this. So when I think about mindset and habits, okay, think about the following. So when we create a habit, it obviously comes in from a cue or a trigger. Something happens that gives us a notion or a nudge internally, and it will lead to a craving if we want to repeat it again, or something that will make us not want to repeat it again. And based on that, we respond, we act. And then lastly, we reward ourselves, or something will reward us or punish us, really, if it's a positive or a negative habit. Now, in terms of maintaining presence as a coach, think about how do you prepare yourselves before a coaching session? What are some of the things we do before a coaching session? So for example, for me, especially if I'm hosting a coaching session online, one-to-one, I have my personal office. The door will be locked so that no one walks in on me during the coaching session. My lighting is set, the fountain is on. There are certain cues I use to help prepare my mind and my mindset that I'm about to enter a coaching session. And it kind of immediately makes me feel physically ready to start entering it. So there are certain things we can do that will help that. So in terms of the rest of you, for those of you who are currently practicing coaching and having sessions, how have you been preparing for them?
Can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, today. I go for meditation, or I do breathing exercise before any class, any sessions. I like to practice the breathing, actually, and being in a silent moment for at least 10 minutes before I meet my coachee. Because I think you have to be in a very good mood to give as much as you can to your coachee. Because if you are not in a good shape, or like you are not tired, then it will be clear in your session. So sometimes I go early, like if it's gonna be in a cafe, I go early half an hour. Maybe Mir Nazir can elaborate on this, because I did one session with her recently. I like to be in a place when which is
that's right.
quiet. Yeah, so I can be in a very good mood.
Amazing. So truly, it makes a difference, right, Radha? When we're in a certain mood and we try to calm ourselves back to our neutral position, it makes a difference in our coaching session.
Exactly.
Very good. So one of the things I noticed is sometimes if I book coaching sessions very close together, as in there's no break in between my sessions, I get thrown off.
Ooh.
So after the first session, I'm fine. Second session, I'm fine. Third session, I'm like, okay, I need a moment to recenter myself. But because it's online, sometimes it's back to back, back to back. So I started putting buffers in my appointment and scheduling so that I have at least 15 minutes between each session. So these are some of the things that we can do in terms of help prepare ourselves or give ourselves the space to recenter and ground ourselves before the next coaching session. Because if you think about it, a coaching session is very intimate. It is very deep, especially if you are actively listening. It takes energy. It takes time from you. And each coachee might not have the same goals or the same issues or the same temperament or behavior or attitude. So each one would require different type of attention and different type of behavior and different type of presence, if you think about it. So best thing to do is always having a buffer between each session so that you can have or develop a habit and routine or ritual that will keep you grounded and present. So one of the things we can do to prepare, eliminate triggers. Eliminating triggers before a coaching session, such as If I know, for example, the area that I'm going to conduct the coaching session is about to have a loud screening or music playing in the background or something, I will not conduct it there. I will find a different spot to conduct it if it's online. If it's in person, I know how to set the room up in a way that will be calming for me and for the client. So I have my own little rituals, and I eliminate triggers in terms of locking my door so no one barges in, because that's a trigger, someone walking into your coaching session midway, even if it's just to ask a question, or the receptionist saying, hey, you have your next client there waiting for you. So knowing how to eliminate certain triggers helps in terms of not disheveling you during your coaching session. Reduce your cravings. Take a look at what bothers you and what elevates you throughout the day, especially when you have coaching sessions. If you have a negative habit, like for example, you're very nervous before a coaching session, especially I know some of the newer coaches or the ones who are just about to start taking some coaching clients that are not coaches, normal people. This is where they start getting nervous and they start questioning their ability. We all have those moments. So how can we help ground ourselves in these cases? Yes, Ran.
About me, okay, I am walking in a grass, okay, without shoes. Just I try to walk in the grass. يعني it's amazing feelings. I like it more meditation. يعني I do it meditation as غادة, but for me I make this is at first step. The second step, I am running on the beach also. This is I make it between the session, and every 1 week, 10 minutes, 10 days, like that.
This is something we call
This
grounding.
is my routine.
Amazing. Yeah. Grounding is actually very important for us as human beings. And if you notice, if you look up the word grounding on Google later on, you'll see some images where they take a scan of a person's legs or body when they're wearing their shoes and they're out walking. And then the one that is barefoot on sand or grass or the earth.
Yes.
You'll notice the one that has red all in their scan, and then the one that was going blue because they're grounding. So truly, it is actually a very therapeutic process. And yes, it's a beautiful one as well. So it can help having these kind of habits, grounding you by going into nature, or even if it's just to the beach, the grass, the dirt outside.
Yeah, that's the sound of beach, exactly.
Exactly. Or, you know, having a cup of tea before your session, if that helps, like for example, chamomile or peppermint or whatever you fancy, even if it's a cup of coffee. Having a journal with you, perhaps, you know, a gratitude journal. What went right in your sessions today? What are you grateful for that day? Just to boost your personal confidence and awareness of where you're at. And then obviously developing these kind of routines, making it so regular for you that your body takes it automatically as a cue every time you're about to have your session. So this is something I noticed about myself now after doing this for months. When I turn on my fountain, I know I'm in the working zone, my desk fountain. So when it's off, I feel weird working sometimes. But when I turn it on, I know I'm already getting myself ready to get into the working zone. I'm about to work on my content. I'm about to work on my journals or whatever it may be. So I've developed now a cue for myself for certain things. When I'm about to have a coaching client, I have my bottle of water next to me and a hot cup of tea with honey, because, you know, we talk sometimes. So whatever works for you, that you can do it consistently without harming yourself, and it's actually positive for you, try to do it regularly so that you can develop that as a habit long term. Okay? So with that said, when we want to build habits, we're thinking about routines and rituals. So it's not just about the morning routine or the bedtime routine anymore. It's the routine before leaving the house. It's a routine before having a coaching session, whether it's online or in person. And I'm sure it might not be the same routine. The routine of grounding yourself or finding your balance after a coaching client and going to the next one. Because if you think about it, you're not just having one client a day. Not a lot of people have just one client a day. So how can we maintain presence and awareness through each and multiple coaching sessions? And the thing that basically inspired me to do this particular workshop was my recent examination. And when I passed the PCC, I was telling a lot of my colleagues that I felt like it was not 80 questions on an exam, it was 80 individual coaching sessions. Literally 80 individual coaching sessions. You have to literally put your mindset in each question as though it was an actual coaching session. And by the end of it, I was exhausted. Because if you think about it, putting yourself in a presence mindset, understanding the core competencies, knowing what is in the best interest of the coachee, regardless of our personal biases, regardless of anything that has to do with the self, and making sure that it all complies with our ethics part as well. It can be challenging, but when we have certain routines and rituals, when we have certain methods in which we cater to our mindset, balance ourselves out, it becomes more steady with time. I wouldn't say easier, but more steady, which is what we want to aim for anyway. So doing these things now, when we build these kind of habits, we build more confidence. When we build confidence, we have a better relationship with ourselves. When we have a better relationship with ourselves, we understand the need to have self-awareness, and we are more honest with ourselves. We don't end up saying to each other or to ourselves, and I'm fine, I don't need to work on this. Or, okay, it was the coachee's fault, not mine. So sometimes, when we have lack of self-awareness, when we have lack of self-confidence, or our self-esteem is taking a hit, we will not venture into developing ourselves. We will go backwards. So this is why it's quite important to build certain kind of habits to help us maintain certain kinds of presence and awareness so that we can continue to develop as a coach. Okay. With that said, do not underestimate the small habits. A book that I've been reading that I truly recommend for everyone, and if you have read it before, read it again, Atomic Habits by James Clear. He truly explains how to build the tiniest habit and how it can truly impact your goals, your future, how you're going forward. And as a coach, I found this very important as well. Because now I'm not only worried about what I'm like before a coaching session, I'm worried about what I need to deal with from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, with all the habits that I am engaging in. So an example, I used to wake up and scroll Instagram nonstop the minute I open my eyes. So with time and after reading the book, I started questioning, is this habit necessary? Is this habit helping me? Is this habit something positive? Is it taking me closer to where I want to be? And to be very honest with myself, I said no, because you end up seeing some posts that either disturb you, or you feel inadequate, or you start questioning yourself, especially if you see a post of someone in the gym at 5 a.m. and you're just in bed. We start to question ourselves and our confidence. So how we pay attention to these little details and how it could impact us makes the difference. And the reason I brought up instant gratification is it's easy to build a habit if we instantly get a response, a reward, or a punishment. So for example, if we play with fire, we get burned, we already know not to do it again, right? Because immediately there was a response that gives you a key, knowing that it's a negative thing. If we eat a piece of chocolate, we instantly feel happy about it. but we don't know or we don't think about the long-term effect if we continuously eat like that. We think about instant gratification, the instant pleasure we feel in the moment. So when you're building certain kind of habits like meditation, it's not easy, because meditating the first time, you're not going to instantly get a gratifying response. It takes practice, it takes consistency, it takes truly understanding how to make it the most beneficial for you to actually feel, I want to keep doing this. So what he mentions in the book is how we can reward ourselves in the moment to give ourselves the instant gratification we need to continue a certain habit. So in terms of your coaching session, think about how you show up as a coach. When we talk about embodying the coaching mindset, staying present, having awareness, what does that actually look like? We need to truly ask ourselves, what does that actually look like? So if we are to follow all the core competencies, it looks like a coach that has completely put themselves to the side, actively listens to the client, is aware that the client has a goal or is aware of the session goal, set the session goal themselves, because we are not to be leading with that. And before all else, the client or coachee knows what coaching is and what it isn't, knows what our role is in their lives and what it is not. And then we guide them from there. So all of these things kind of play together in a real sense of way. So things like saving money, getting fit, learning new skills, studying, we don't get an instant reward from that. Same thing when it comes to our coaching programs, training, development, learning. We get excited about the journey and then we keep thinking, what else? When am I going to reach the finish line? Okay, I want my certificate. And we forget to enjoy the journey. We forget to truly be present and aware of the journey that we're on as we're learning. So these are certain things to keep in mind when we're building self-awareness and presence in our lives. So maintaining presence is a habit. And when we think about it, where are the best ways to practice presence? Not just in our coaching sessions, think about it. How can we practice presence? Yes, Ghada.
I think I do it now. When I attend any meeting, now I focus. Before I used to talk more. Now I'm trying to listen more. So I'm trying to change some habits. When I'm with a gathering, usually now I feel that I'm less talking than before. So I'm trying to listen, because the body language for me is very important. So sometimes you want to read what is behind the lines. So like I'm practicing in a way that will help me in my sessions as well. So less talk, more sensation, focus all on the body language whenever you're like in a meeting, family gathering, friends, whatever. Thank you.
Excellent. I love that. I love the focus on body language. Because the Mehrabian study actually says 7% of the focus goes on our words, 38% goes on voice and tone, and then the 55% goes all on body language, micro expressions, facial expressions, everything else. So practicing it daily with friends, family, I'm sure they love that, but practicing it daily is actually quite useful as a coach. Excellent. Yes, Rana.
Yeah, I will answer in Arabic just for the other person.
مشكلة.
It's okay. بالنسبة لإلي الحضور بيكون داخل السيشن أول شيء إنه أنا أنسى كل شيء قبلها. يعني I forget everything before I enter any session. أوكي، لأنه كلياتنا عندنا ضغوط ومشاكل وبيت فإحنا لازم نفصل. يعني خلص أنا بدي أدخل قبل ب10 دقايق أنا فاصلة عن العالم الخارجي المحيط فيني. ثاني شيء الحضور فعليا، الحضور بلغة الجسد، بكل حواسي، انصت للأشياء اللي مو مسموعة قبل المسموعة. اوقات الاي كونتاكت بتعمل او بتعطينا رياكشن غير اللي هو عم بيحكيه. اوكي، نفس الوقت تطلعه للاسفل، يعني في اشياء كثير، نبرة الصوت، يعني بقول لك انه لا كيف انه شو، لنقول مثلا سؤال، شو كان شعورك باخر ميتينج كان مثلا بالدوام؟ كثير مبسوط. هو عامل هيك والتم سكر انه لا والله لا مبسوط ولا ولا عنده ولا خبر انبساط. فاوكي، فبتيجي بتحكي له، بس انا يعني حسيت من، اذا بتسمح لي طبعا، حسيت من نبرة الصوت انه يعني ما كنت كثير مبسوط. فاذا فيك تحكي، اذا قال لك اوكي، ففيك تحكي لي اكثر انه ليه ما كان هيدا. فالاشياء هاي اصلا ممكن تفتح لك اسئله ثانيه غير الاسئله اللي، وتتعرفي على اشياء هو ما كان بتخبرك فيها. اوكي، لانه لغه الجسد ما ابدا ما بتعمل. فانا بحس انه كل ما كنا هيدا الحضور كامل كل ما كان افضل. وسبحان الله هيدا الشيء علمني اياه حتى مع الناس التانيين. يعني لما بكون انه مع اي حدا قاعده، خلص انا بهيدي اللحظه بترك موبايلاتي، بترك كل شيء، وبضلني فوكس معه بالاي كونتاكت، بكل بلغه جسدي، بكل شيء. فحسيت انه بصيروا الناس يحبوكي اكثر، يحبوا القعده معك اكثر، يحبوا الكلام معك اكثر. So that's for me.
That is very true. And I noticed when practicing this active listening, people will start really telling you everything in their life. They will just start opening. And I'm talking about in random gatherings when I meet my family, my friends, or anyone else, suddenly they share a lot more than before. And I realize it's because I'm giving the space for them to speak, listening twice as much as I speak. And doing these things, it's very important, simply because if we want to practice, it's not just about being a coach or just for our coaching sessions. We do this daily. If you think about it now, we're now a coach everywhere, partly. So we learn to listen more. We learn to pay attention to change in body language. We learn to pay attention to certain words people use next to their facial expression. And we start to really be present in the moment the more we practice this, which is excellent. Okay, so now in terms of awareness, what are the things that help you gain self-awareness? Shraikum. What are the things that will help us gain self-awareness?
I think if we do it like every period of time, a SWOT analysis for our personalities. We check our strengths and weaknesses, and we work on developing the weaknesses by using our strengths. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. SWOT analysis, very useful. Being able to actually go through them, knowing what our strengths are, our weaknesses, and don't throw your old ones. This is the key. Having them there, having your previous ones there, and making the comparison, being able to look at the changes, if any,
Yes.
or if there are no changes, something to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Naila says reflection.
Yes, Naila, reflection, very important.
Exactly.
Another thing I would add, having a mentor.
Sorry?
Who?
May I add one word?
Yes.
Observation. When you observe any feeling, any sensation, I think thoughts, especially in specific time, like when you are stressed. So maybe you need, as Naila said, reflection, why I felt in this way. So you start observing and questioning.
Absolutely. Maintaining curiosity, right? Having the curiosity to always ask ourselves, why did I just do that? Why did I feel that way? So for example, someone calls you and they invite you to go for coffee and you say, sure, but inside you feel, ugh, I don't want to go. Ask yourself, why? Why did I feel like that? Is it from me? Is it because I don't enjoy? What is the reason? Become curious and continue asking yourself until you get to the core reason. So a lot of times when people feel a certain way or when they feel a certain feeling, they don't go deep. They go, I don't feel like it. And they don't get curious. ما يدشون بالفضول أكثر. ما يقولون إنه والله أنا ليش يعني شعرت بهالشيء؟ أنا ليش قاعد أسوي هالشيء? Why am I doing it this way? Or why did I respond like that? They don't get curious, and therefore you stay at the same level. But when we want true self-awareness, we have to be brave. This is the key word here for today, brave, to ask ourselves the question, why did I respond like that? Why did that particular thing trigger me? Or why did that make me happy? Or why am I excited? Or why am I nervous? All of these things are very important. So when we think about asking ourselves these questions, having our reflection, asking questions, maintaining curiosity, all of these things play a part. Also, if you think about it, every coach has a coach, right? Half of the time. Yeah. So being able to check in with your mentor from time to time or another coach when you have peer sessions with each other, just to keep yourself in check, because at the end of the day, as human beings, we also answer to our ego from time to time. We always answer back to ourselves, and the self will always try to protect it, and we will always try to feel that we are doing the best that we can at all times, and it could let certain things slip, and that's fine, we're human. So having a support system in place helps. The ability to question, the ability to maintain curiosity also helps us in getting there. So the elements of self-awareness includes these three things: values, intentions, and goals. So it's one thing to say, okay, I want to be curious about myself, but what are my goals? Where am I reaching? Where do I want to go? What are my values? My personal values. It's important to be aware of your personal values, because part of the time, for example, I'll give a very live example. One of my main top values is accountability. This is a personal value of mine, and I consider it very important. Accountability, the ability to take responsibility for one's own action without seeking to name blame always outside of yourself, and the ability to admit when you're wrong. So when I am faced with another individual or a group and they are unable to do so, it doesn't match my value and I get triggered or I get angry. But here's the thing. Can I truly impose my personal value on everyone around me? Is this something that I can do as a coach or as a person?
No.
No, absolutely not. So it's useful for me to know why certain things trigger me and why it matters to me, because it's part of my values. So then I'm able to look at the person as they are and not try to impose myself upon them as well. Okay, so values, very important. Maintaining self-awareness about your values, your intentions. This is why it's important to have a session goal, if you think about it, because our intention as a coach matters. Our intention as a person matters. Why am I seeking this profession, for example? What are my intentions in this profession? Where do I want it to reach? And if I'm in a coaching session and I want to maintain presence and awareness, what are my intentions for this particular session? What's the outcome I'd like to reach? This helps you put you in the right track. And then obviously goals, goal setting, it can be complicated and it can be simplified. Really depends on the situation at hand. So in terms of a coaching session, we know we have our session goal. So we know how to redivert our coachee back to the original goal. In terms of daily learning, development, our progression, what are your goals? Where do you want to reach in your career, in your profession, as a coach, as an individual? What are your goals? Having these three elements in place boosts self-confidence, keeps you in a good relationship with yourself. You feel you can trust yourself more. And when we have that level of trust with the self, we are able to maintain more presence and awareness. We won't disassociate as much. Okay? So understand your values, very important. In terms of this, what would be each of your top 3 values? Top 3 values for you guys.
The first one, freedom.
Freedom. Nice. Yeah, that's an important one, definitely. Freedom.
Especially in my work.
Mm.
Yes, the first thing, the first value. Second value, it must be my family, the home. The third one, peace. My
Peace.
own peace and to feeling by honesty. Exactly, from Mariam. I like it also.
Honesty, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And if you think about it, these are the values that if someone doesn't do them, we get angry. Yes, Fada.
Yeah, I think freedom is very important. Number 1, respect, trust. These are my core value.
I love it. Respect, trust, absolutely. Honesty with myself first, Murna, excellent. I love that. That is beautiful. Honesty with myself first. Who else would like to share their values? Feel free to unmute and join in. Or type.
اوكي خلينا نسأله بالعربي، بلكن في يكون ناس حابين انه هاي شو هي القيم الثلاثة او قيمك العليا، اهم 3 قيم عليا انت ما فيك تستغنى عنهم. اذا في حدا. انت بتعرفي انه انا الحرية كان سبب استقالتي من دوامي. انا كنت بشتغل بجهة حكومية.
واو.
بس الروتين انك انت wake up at just to go to the work at 8 and finished at 2 o'clock, and the same routine of the work with the same people, with the same customer. Oh my God, no, it's terrible.
Absolutely. I understand that very well. Freedom is very important. Okay. So those are values. Intentions. We think about intentions, niyyah, okay? It's not just about, oh yay, Naila, freedom, agility. Yes, very important. Okay, intentions. What are your intentions for the day when you wake up? Getting used to asking yourself these questions every single day. If you think about it, it really will take you somewhere. When you wake up, what are your intentions for the day? What are your goals for the day? For the week? For the month? The year? Sometimes we think we shouldn't think too far ahead, but that could be further from the truth, simply because we want to develop, we want to grow. At the end of the day, we all seek growth and opportunity because life is ever changing. But we need to get used to asking these questions. Okay, so as a coach, what are your intentions for the session? Very simple way to think about that in terms of, well, today my intention would be to get my coachee to trust me more, to get more comfortable, because maybe they're a new coachee. Or the next time will be to get my coachee to feel more comfortable or to be more focused on their session goal, so that we don't always go to the next topic, and we avoid the session goal itself. And this happens quite frequently. And then goals. How do your goals affect you as a coach? Think about that. Whenever we set goals, we need to understand, how do they relate to one another? How do they impact one another? And how can we maintain ourselves according to these goals? Okay. So when we think about everything that has to do with self-awareness, these are the words. We have values, we have intentions, we have goals, and we have motivations, tendencies, habits. I want you guys to take a look at all the words on the screen. And please, if you could type in the chat, which word stood out to you the most? Which word stood out to you the most? Character, strength, Oops. Naila, why character?
Can you hear me? Is
Yes, I
this
can.
working? Okay. Well, again, I think it's tied to my core values. Because without character, I think everything falls apart. If you don't have the freedom to be who you are, then to me, things fall apart. When I say agility has a lot of things embedded in it. It has persistence. It has goals, because you have to, have different goals, be diversified. You have to know when to change and why you're changing. And if you don't have agility, it means you can't be creative, you can't grow, you can't build. And that has to be all in your character, so people can trust that you can walk the talk. Because if you say that these are my values and you don't practice these values every single day with every breath you take, then what does that say about your character? How can people trust you? So that's why it just stood out to me. For me, this is the foundation. And again, it's also tied with self-awareness, because if you don't know yourself, then how can you know others?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why character stood out to me.
Well said. Beautifully said. Ghada, why strength?
Because I feel I have the personality as strengthen my personality, and I believe it's very important to have this kind of strength. This will help you to be independent and to help others. So it's not only to have ego that I am strong or strength. No, I think it helps that you can help yourself in order to help people around you.
Yes.
So, and also to be independent, because when you have the kind of the strength, you don't need people to help you in a certain way.
That's true. And beauty about strength as well, it takes strength to maintain self-awareness.
Indeed.
The key word that I mentioned earlier, the bravery to really look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, it's me, my issue here. I need to do this right, or I need to fix this. Excellent. Myrna, why passions?
I believe in something that if I find my passion and I use it as my source of growth in my life, this is happiness. So everything is connected to passion, whether it's my job, whether it's my mission, whether it's my way of helping others. If it's passion, for me, it's happiness. So I will feel like fulfilled from inside.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
Rana, mood. Why mood? رنا.
معك بس ما كنت قادرة أفتح المايك. سوري.
اوكي.
عم بطلع بأشر بس إنه ما فيني أفتح المايك. أوكي كان في عندي بس شوية ناس. قولي لي. يس.
ليش اخترتي
أبا
مود؟
المود ليش اخترته؟ أوكي بما أنه أنا برج السرطان فمعروف إنه علينا إنه إحنا كتير المود عندنا بيلعب فينا لعب. أوكي فبحتاج إنه من وقت لتاني إنه أكون واعية للمود تبعي. يعني أنا مثلاً امبارح طول الوقت كان أموري بخير وتمام وكل شيء، بس لأنه أهلي كلهم مسافرين على الإمارات عم بيحضروا عرس ابن عمي، فإنه كيف إنه الكل موجودين هناك بالعرس وكيف إنه كلهم مجتمعين وأنا ما فيني أسافر موجودة معهم. دقيقة واحدة بس أنا عم فكر بهيدول انقلب مودي على نفس قعدت أبكي. والله صار دراما كوين.
لا ما نقول دراما كوين.
لا اتس اوكي. فحلو انه ما في 10 دقائق انه اتس اوكي. لا رنا الخيرة فيما اختار الله. لو انه كان خيرة لإلك كان زبطت امور سفرك والفيزا وكل شيء واقامتك وكنتي سافرتي. والحمد لله انه بالعكس يعني اول مرة بتصير هالجمعة يعني لاهلي من سوريا من الاردن من الكويت بالامارات. فيعني الجمعة كانت حلوة فانبسطت لهم وانبسطت لانبساطهم. فأوقات إنه شوفي كيف لما حاولت إنه أنتبه لهيدا المود وتغير معي بظرف إنه ربع ساعة أوكي الأمور صارت منيحة. بس بالأول لا كنت أدخل عادي وإذا زادت معي الوضع ظني يومين. والله لا يعني مو لهالدرجة.
بس أكيد يعني وهذه
والمشكلة مشكلة المود إنه بيصير يجيب بعض. يعني أنت بتبلشي بفكرة هيك بسيطة بعدين بتصيري أوكي أنا ولا شيء عم بيزبط معي. أنا شو عملت لهلا؟ أنا ما بعرف شو بتنسي كل شيء عملتيه وكل يا حبيبتي غادة يخلي لي قلبك. فيعني أوقات إنه لا بتحسي إنه لازم يكون في عندنا هيدا الوعي. عشان هيك انبسطت اليوم على الورشة تبعتك إنه لازم يكون عندنا وعي لكل الأشياء للفيلينجز للمود للثوت everything.
وشلون يأثر علينا. وأول شيء غير السترينث هم نكون يعني لطيفين مع نفسنا شوي. Kind with ourselves.
Can I add something for the
Yes,
mood?
please.
Because أنا كمان برج السرطان مثل رنا.
حبيبة
So
قلبي
I feel with you. نحن المود كتير بيلعب فينا. بس تعرفي ايمت بلشت ارتاح بهالشي لما عرفت انه في شيء اسمه سباتور بتسكتي لهذا الصوت. You just like
صح.
خلص اسكت عن جد تنقلب كل المود بلحظة. when you notice that sound يعني بتبلش تعرف انه هذا صوت الاحباط تبعي ما بدي ارد عليه. عن جد حياتي كلها تغيرت. مثلا بدي اروح على الجيم بيقول لي بلا الجيم اليوم ما لك خلق ومدري شو. بدي حدا مبسوط ليش انت مبسوطه انت ما مبسوطه. هذا هو الصوت اللي بخرب حياتنا. so just like هيك سكتي everything will be fine.
Yes.
صدقيني جربي.
Oh, it helps even more. I have names for them. أعطيتهم أسامي.
يا
فأعطيتهم أسامي فأنا عارفة بالضبط منو الشخص اللي قاعد يتكلم الحين. السابوتور هذه اللي فجأة طالعة الحين شلون. It's
nice
very,
idea. I'll name them.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, I would love to thank you all for attending this workshop. And I truly hope you benefited from this in terms of self-awareness and presence.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you
with
so much. Also, it was amazing webinar, honestly. Yeah, and it was a pleasure to be with you, really, and to learn from you. And we are really proud that you are from ICF Chapter, Kuwait Chapter.
Yay.
Yes, exactly.
We are learning from you. You are PCC, and inshallah, you yani soon we will be ACC, bit by bit.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I look forward to
Yeah.
that, and I truly hope,
Yeah.
I wish you all the best in your careers.
Thank
Keep it
you.
up.
Thank you.
And
عملي
thank you
كتير
all.
كان اليوم. عملي
أحلى.
يعني what we need it عن جد. We need it.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you
I'm
so
glad.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. رنا النوتس حبيت. All right. So I will not take more from your time لأن already يعني خذينا 10 دقائق overtime بس إنه I loved being with you guys today. Have a beautiful evening
Good
and take
night.
care of everyone.